You know how when you drop a single pebble into a pond, the ripples just spread out, wider and wider? Well, we're going to explore that exact same idea today, how one tiny change in your daily life can set off this amazing chain reaction of bigger, more powerful changes. I mean, think about it. Have you ever started a new workout routine and then almost automatically you just start wanting to eat healthier? It's like that first good decision builds its own momentum, right? One positive choice just naturally leads to the next. Okay, so now let's take that idea and just blow it up. What if we could actually harness that personal domino effect to tackle some of our biggest environmental problems? Well, believe it or not, that's the exact question a group of researchers in South Africa wanted to figure out. But before we get to their findings, you really have to understand the situation they were dealing with. See, South Africa is in the middle of not just one, but three major overlapping resource crises. First up, water. We're talking about extreme water shortages here. It's one of the most water-stressed countries in the world, and many communities live with the constant threat of their taps running dry. Then, you've got electricity. The country's power grid is under so much strain that they have these planned rolling blackouts called load shedding. It's a daily reality for millions of people, and it disrupts everything. And rounding out this perfect storm is waste. The systems for managing trash are just overwhelmed, and recycling rates are way below what you'd see in other parts of the world. So it's a huge challenge on three different fronts. So you've got this triple threat, and researchers started to wonder, are these problems and our habits around them really separate? Or is there some kind of hidden connection between how we use water, how we use electricity, and how we deal with our trash?
So they boiled it down to this one simple question. They went out and surveyed over 1,000 households to find out if being green in one part of your life, like, say, taking shorter showers, actually makes you more likely to do something else, like turning off the lights. And this leads us to the big idea behind their whole study. It's called behavioral spillover. That's the fancy scientific name for the ripple effect we've been talking about. It basically says our good habits don't live in a bubble. They can spill over and influence each other, for better, or, as we're about to see, sometimes for worse.
So did they find a connection? The answer was a big, loud yes. The data showed this really fascinating pattern where good habits were definitely reinforcing each other.
And what they found was super clear. There were two really strong positive spillovers. First, people who were making an effort to save water were also, you guessed it, more likely to save electricity. And second, households that were recycling were also more likely to be conserving power. The ripple effect was happening. And the key thing here is that this wasn't just a hunch. This was backed up by the numbers. They found a statistically significant link, something they could actually measure. While the effect itself wasn't gigantic, it was real. It proved this spillover effect is a real thing happening in homes every single day. But okay, this is where the story gets a little more complicated. Because, human psychology is a funny thing. It turns out that doing a good deed doesn't always lead to another one. Sometimes it can have the total opposite effect. So you've really got two sides to this coin. On one side, there's that positive spillover where we like to be consistent. I save water, so of course I should save energy too. But then there's this other weird psychological loophole called moral licensing. This is where we feel like one good act gives us a free pass to slack off somewhere else. It's that, I went to the gym this morning, so I've totally earned this giant piece of cake mentality. It's like the dark side of the ripple effect. So that brings up the million-dollar question, right? What makes the difference? Why do we sometimes get a positive ripple and other times we get moral licensing? Well, to figure that out, the researchers had to dig even deeper to find the hidden forces that are pushing our buttons.
Yeah, they went beyond just looking at what people were doing and started asking why they were doing it. And they found a few really important social and psychological triggers that have a massive influence on our behavior.
And it came down to three main things. First, social norms. This is a big one. We are hugely influenced by what we think our friends and neighbors are doing. Second, the local government, the municipality, really matters. Things like public awareness campaigns and good infrastructure make a huge difference, especially with water. And finally, our own personal attitudes. If you genuinely care about the environment, you're more likely to act. But, and this is interesting, the study found that being too optimistic or complacent could actually make people do less. Okay, so what does this all mean for the real world? How can we actually use all this information to create bigger, better, more positive ripples? The biggest lesson is this. None of our small actions happen in isolation. They're all part of a bigger system. Saving water, saving energy, recycling, they aren't just separate items on a to-do list. They're all connected and they all influence each other. And that insight points to a much smarter way to do things. Instead of tackling these problems one by one, we should be creating campaigns that tie them all together. It means using the power of community, showing people that their neighbors are on board. It means helping local governments lead the way. And, this is so important, it means giving people feedback so they can actually see the impact they're having. So in the end, all this research really brings the question right back to us, to our own lives. It shows that starting just one small, consistent habit can build the momentum for some pretty amazing change. So the question for you is, what's the first domino you can tip over? What's that one small thing you can start today that might just kick off a whole ripple effect?